Hi, this is Heidi from Garden Crossings, and I did a video a few weeks back and you caught a glimpse of a gnome porch pot, and I wanted to go ahead and show you just exactly how that was done. So this is a few of the elements that you need. We used a tomato cage. I put some soil down there. I'm going to get it wet so that it's heavy, but you could also put a brick or something down there just to give it some weight so that the wind doesn't blow the planter over. I've got plenty of different cut greens here. You can use any type of greens that you might have. We've got a ball for the nose. We've got a hat. We've got mittens, some twist ties. That's how I'm going to tie the branches on to the frame. You can also use paddle wire if that's something that you happen to have in the house. And then gloves. I mean, the gloves are because you don't want to get poked by the pine needles. So we're going to go ahead and just start fixing the branches onto this tomato cage. I've kind of divided my branches into two piles. One pile, they're a little bit shorter and thicker. The other pile, they're longer and a little bit more sparse. So I'm probably going to end up doing 2 rows of greens on this to get it nice and full. So we're going to use the longer sparse ones for the bottom and then the thicker ones just to kind of fill in at the top. So let's go ahead and get the gloves on. For those of you who are new to Garden Crossings is a retail garden center located in Zeeland, Michigan. We also have an online store, gardencrossings.com, where we ship annuals, perennials, and shrubs all over the United States. That's something where we start shipping the beginning of April and ship until about November 1st. So what we're seeing here today, this is more for our local customers, where you'll come into our store and create a combination or buy one that's already pre-made. So let's start creating. So as I mentioned, we've got the more sparse ones that we're going to start with. I have 2 different types of evergreens going here, so there's going to be a little bit of different color mixture going on. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm placing them on this planter. So I'm kind of lining it up so that the branches just nicely touch the bottom of the ground. And then I want to catch kind of underneath a twig, that way it doesn't slide around, and then go up and over so that it will stay nicely in place. Now I'm going to take kind of, this one's really wispy. And I'm doing this for you guys to see, so when I get done, who knows, I might have to redo this because I'm kind of going backwards, letting you see what I'm doing, and I'm not really seeing what I'm doing very well. So let's go ahead and get these twisties. Twisties are not fun with gloves, but they're working. Let's just kind of overlap in that a little bit. And I might even have to twisty some of the branches together so that it fills in too. So we'll see. That was kind of a lighter green one, so now I'm going to go ahead with a darker green. If you had paddle wire, that might actually be better. These twisties are kind of pliable, so they're just a little harder to work with, I think. One nice thing with a tomato cage though is you can just kind of put your hands through the grates here and reach in. So it's kind of a sparse, thin layer there on the bottom, but I want to just see if that's going to do what I need it to do once I get these thicker, fuller ones in. I might come through and have to add more in, so we'll see. One suggestion I do have is if you can find a Christmas tree or whatever it is that you're cutting up, you want to make for sure it's got nice long branches on it. So this tree that we did, it was probably, it's about a 6-foot tree or so that we cut up. So because it's 6 foot, you know, it wasn't a wide tree neither, so it didn't have a lot of thickness going on to it. So that's also part of the why I don't have super long stems. And that wasn't good. I didn't show you what I just did there. My guess is, based off of trimming the stems off of the trees that we had, you probably can do about 2, maybe 3 of these gnomes per 6-foot Christmas tree. So they do take quite a lot of branches to put it together. I might ditch these gloves because the gloves are really slowing me down. So you can see that's what I've got here so far. I'm going to try it without gloves, see how poked I get. So this is the first year we're actually doing the whole holiday season here at Garden Crossings. So it's been kind of fun just doing all the Christmas things and figuring it all out. Yeah, so you see how that's going to really fill that in. So one thing right now you're noticing, it's pretty sparse up at the top. And that's probably going to be okay because the hats that we've created for these gnomes are going to fit and slide over top of this top ring quite a bit. So it's probably going to cover up the stems that are showing. That's really woody looking in through there. So we want to really get that filled in well. So my first choice of tree to use on this would be a Fraser fir, if you have those in your area. Fraser fir have small needles, not super pokey. Problem is Fraser fir are expensive, so I mean, that can be a problem. Ooh, this is a pokey one. Ah, ooh, back to the gloves. That is a pokey branch. So it's getting harder to twist tie these in here because I can't get my hands in quite as well because obviously it's filling in with more branches. Up here I'm not going to worry about the twisty showing because, like I said, that hat is going to cover it. I'm just going to do it a quick spin and see if I got any areas that I really think need to get filled in more. Pretty much this area. The other thing too is, remember, you're going to have a back to this pot, so if you have a side that's more like sparse, don't really worry about it because you're not going to see it anyways. So that's another way that you can kind of save on your branches, is if you don't want to do like the very back half, you don't need to, so that you can use those branches towards the front. So just something to point out there for those of you who, you know, price is an issue. You can just pull everything up to the front. So this area here looks really woody and weird, so I'm gonna try to get this one tied in. And any, like I said earlier, any pines will work. Like, you can use whatever you have available to you. So I mean, if it's different than what I'm using here, go ahead and use it. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good. Let's put the hat on once and just see how it's covering up. So this is just polar fleece that we got from our local craft store. We cut them into triangle shapes, sewed them together to create the gnome hat. Let's pull it down there nice and tight, and that also kind of helps hold the branches in place. So let me see what you're seeing. Okay, so that I think is looking pretty good. I'm gonna go grab one thing here and So I grabbed my snippers, which this is another thing you might find helpful while you're doing this. This is the SenGreen clippers and pruners. It is a wonderful tool. This was sent to me by the company and I love it. So what I'm going to do is see how this branch here is just kind of wiry and weird. I'm going to snip that off because I don't want weirdness going on. This is okay. I mean, it's a little wispy. In the back there's a long one, so I'm going to kind of cut its tail off. This is juniper, and we sprayed it with some flocking because this is going to be his beard. So I just twist tied a few junipers together, sprayed them, and we're going to get them attached. So I'm just going to again use my twisty to attach it. I'm going to try to get, I don't really want the twisty showing, so I'll try shoving it up in there a little bit more. So depending on how big a beard you want, you can make your chunk bigger or smaller. Also, he's going to need a nose. So like I said, we're just using the little Christmas balls. These are the non-breakable kind. And I'm going to hide the twisty with this. Sort of. Pull the hat back down, get it nuzzled right up there under that nose. Ugh, this flocking hasn't dried. So I think, let me see what we got going. I think I'm gonna get a little bit more flocking and kind of get a little bit more of a whiter, fuller beard. So this is a product that I'm using. I just found it at Walmart. This is a test, so I'm not sure how this is gonna work because I sprayed that ahead of time, so I'm hoping I don't make a mess of this by spraying it on here. So we'll see. I'm not gonna do this because I don't want him to have a big long goatee. That's silly. There, I think that worked pretty good. Tuck that one down in there. It's got a little bit more of a prominent beard going on. And then the last thing that we're going to do is stick his hands or his mittens in. So again, these are polar fleece. We just took the scraps and sewed little mittens, and then I hot glued them to this stick. So I'm gonna just insert them in through the tomato cage. My goal is for him to have jazz hands, not look like a scarecrow, which he's looking like a scarecrow right now. So let me get the angle better. Gotta find where there we go, where my little slots are in the tomato cage. There we go. There, now he's got more of the jazz hands going on opposed to scarecrow. So that looks better. I'm gonna step back a minute and take a look. Nice, I think it looks pretty good. So that was just a tutorial on how to make a garden gnome for the winter enjoyment. Put it on your front porch. Probably I wouldn't bring it indoors, but if you can, if you want. But just something different and unique to the traditional winter porch planter. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get to them as soon as I'm able. This is Heidi from Garden Crossings.